right. Well, hello there, everyone around the world, and welcome to the Monday pre-market stream. And what a week we have. If it isn't just the biggest economic news of the month, it's inflation, it's the Fed, it's PPI, and then, of course, we've also got trillions of dollars of options expiring. I hope everyone had a great weekend and you're ready for probably one of the biggest hedged events of the year. In fact, it remains the most hedged event of 2023. Until the end of the year so far. So today we'll be discussing our medium, long-term, and of course short-term thought processes leading into what is going to be, no doubt, a big week for everybody out there. Whether you're trading stocks, commodities, or cryptos, we've got it all covering in today's show. And I also want to give a big shout out to the community members out there. Let's give a bit of warm welcome to people that joined us here early. We've got Mike, Anthony, Artwits, Randomness, Deb, Dave, Christoph, Peter, Zumara, Nicola, ZMT Shadow, Oren, Zulfi, Aimless, Jer, Andrea, Mr. Strangle, Shaff, Mitchell, Deb, Cam, Jonathan, Cambo Vision, and Tony B, and then on Jan as well. So many people joining us. Thank you very much for joining us around the world. As I mentioned, this is the big week of options expiration. So I thought a good place to start might be to discuss some options and what's going on in the markets. This is a pretty good share here. We'll go through our top down. Let's go medium term approach here to begin with. And that is the net calls. I think we're all pretty sure that these calls are starting to explode. We've seen a lot of zero DTE. And for the first time in a while, I felt like this tech market is getting near its highs. And we'll talk about whether it can get a little bit more frenetic until possibly a turn. Also, the fact that we still don't have a technical analysis turn. So that's going to be important to note. Which level are we looking at? But more importantly, take a look at some of these dates. Now, if you go through and you have a look at some of these dates, I can tell you that all of these huge amounts of call options are synonymous with sells that happen around 1 to 2 weeks later. Now, how does that help us as traders? Well, it means that if we see sell signals, maybe they're a little bit stronger than you think because, of course, they're going against all of these calls that are now packing into the market. We also know on the second post here, we can see record shattering inflows into tech funds. This is the mutual funds basically being forced into purchasing as they were falling behind as this rally has continued. So nothing new there, I guess. The main thing, I think, is the calls outweighing the puts. Another way that you can mention this on screen is going to be PCC. So PCC is always really good here. Odysseus says, how is Adobe call Orions for the 16th after earnings? Orions. Adobe's been pretty good. I mean, that was definitely one of the stocks that I want to give a shout out to for last week. A few of you guys were posting SoFi, a few of you posting Adobe, and probably Netflix, also one of the sleepers of the week, doing really, really well with their new forced into buying extra subscriptions. Has anyone else out there been forced to buy an extra subscription to Netflix recently for a family member on the family member plan? I'll put my hand up. I think we were. But yeah, that's pretty good there. Verified News says, man, this is crazy. Lol, everything looks bullish, but the indicators aren't. Yeah, I mean, look, markets are coming in green, but it's not really so much about indicators. We're just looking at we have to see price action to really confirm any kind of swing trade. What I'm pretty sure of, though, at this point, and then we're talking about medium term, is that if the S&P 500 does turn down, it's probably a swing trade more than even just a day trade. And that's because of the culmination of events. The PCC, as we can see here, the put-call ratio dropping through the floor. Generally, it turns before we get a sell-off. We've got the skew, obviously the black swan indicator, getting crushed last week, then rallied back up. Will we get another nice crushing of it? I would say so after the inflation figures that come out on Tuesday. And just a reminder for everybody, get your economic calendars out there this week because as you can see here, these are all New York Times. We have CPI coming through 8:30 a.m. before the market open tomorrow. We've got core CPI. We're looking for sticky inflation. Probably going to still be there. Then we've got the PPI, the FOMC press conference. Will we get 25 basis points? Actually, that's a great poll. So let's start the poll here. I like doing a good poll. Everybody who does it. Here we go. Will we get a rate rise this week? Okay. Let's say yes or no. It's that simple. Which one will you select? I'm not going to give you my opinion. Let's see what you guys think. What about 3M stock? We'll look at that one soon. 3M, obviously a beaten down stock similar to the target. 3M getting sued. That's always a problem. So we saw it get a little bit of a bounce. We were hoping it would pull back after that bounce. We'll check it out very soon. So again, medium-term indicators. We've got Nasdaq swap into IWM. The Russell doing a little bit better than normal. We've got our kind of combo code here, which is basically a whole bunch of top stocks. How is it doing? It's actually stopped recovering. So this is actually slowing down. And I think the most important thing with all of this is when we go and take a look at the cues here. It's been a long time since I've seen so many gaps. I can't actually remember another time since I've seen so many gaps. Have we seen a change of trend? No. Will we see a change of trend? Possibly. Are we very far away from the 20-move average? Yes. We're starting to move quite far away from mean reversion. Certainly a problem generally in markets. And if you go back through history, you'll notice when we start to pull too far away from mean reversion, a sell-off or at least a mean reversion is just around the corner. So let's jump into the daily here. Take a look at it. We saw a little bit of a high steal on the Friday session. We're coming in with a 0.43% up market at the moment. Could we get higher on the Qs first? I think it's very possible. We will not see a turn before, realistically, in my opinion, below like a 346 here. That'll be a swing trade turn. Is it possible for us to move up? Yes, because we still have gaps. So we've got that 360 kind of gap, 362. And then, of course, we've got the highs here that were marked by April. Excuse me, guys. Sorry if I just ripped your ears off. I was trying to mute in time. I couldn't quite do it. Oh, sorry about that. So these are some of the high levels that I think are possible. 362, the gap fill, and then 370 as well. So these are two zones. By the way, a big shout out to the people joining us here today. 630 of you already joining us so early. Thank you very much. We've got verified news coming in with the $2 super chat. It says Uber, PLTR, AI, GM. Geez, verified. How much? That's bargain basement super chat there. you want 4? We'll do a few. Okay, we'll do a few. We'll wait for them a little bit later. Thank you as always though for your support. Verified. The quad factor. Joined to hear a sneeze. Bless you, dog. No worries, Mark. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was a bit wild out there. It is winter in Australia. Correct. Yeah. Maybe I'm feeling under the weather because this queue's been going up too much. Yeah. No, but look, don't discount it. That's what I'm trying to say here. We don't know that the top is in yet. We cannot see it. And I mentioned this last week in the video, and I've said this pretty consistently. There was a short point that we had to go at a little while ago. The main short point that you want to do was round in here. Once it busted that level, it was highly likely that we would push to the next level of equilibrium. Now, we are at a key zone. Don't get me wrong. It's not too bad. But these 15,000s are also key, all up here. So we have to see a technical turn, and we just don't have a technical turn yet. Key level to watch this week for swing traders, I think it's going to be 14,200. If we get below that, we should put in basically what we call a first time frame change of trend, and that is going to be significant. Obviously, it could instigate, what we're talking about. Also, I believe if this market sells off, there's probably more chance that tech will actually sell. Now, I have not said that. I've been always big on selling energy, selling metals here on the channel, demand destruction, and attacking copper. I stopped doing that about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I mentioned it many times. The reason, well, I tend to see a bit of a spike up in those particular areas during this period of year. And I also think that technology is now becoming due. And the reason is quite simple. You look at Meta, you look at Google, they're on those big, deep fib pullbacks that tend to go with this. Alessio says it's super cold in Sydney. Absolutely. And Verified News says Uber long, PLTR short, AI long, GM long. Okay, we'll check that out very, very soon. So US 100 still on the piling in kind of bandwagon here. We can see the US 500. We just delete these for a second. It's still kind of piling in towards the upside. I'm actually going to load US 500 on another chart so we can check it out here. What you might notice is that we haven't taken that high. That's 43.26. If I was a day trader today, I'd be watching very closely how the market interacts with 43.26. If it does take the liquidity above here, what's going to happen initially is you're going to see a huge pump of contracts and all of a sudden it will squeeze. Then generally, if we then turn, we start to see the real potential of day trade style shorts around these loans. So you don't see this every day. But remember, a lot of people will have shorted here. They're already getting squeezed. They're going to have stop losses above here. I wouldn't be surprised at all for the market to go and try for a 43.26 or higher. Now, whether it's today or it's tomorrow during the news, that's going to be a big one. CPI obviously is pre-market. So if we push today or we don't even push, this is what could happen. And you get the turn. So just be very, very careful here about 43.26. I don't think it is safe at this stage. So yeah, 40. I don't think the high is safe. It doesn't look like it at this point. Now, what else do we have to dislike on the markets? Well, if you watched anything about our weekend show, you would know that we brought in a couple of stats. I think one of the ones that was most notable was what happens after S&P 500 exits bear market territory. You can pause it here if you're watching a replay. Obviously, only 30% of the time or 38% of the time where the market's bullish 3 weeks later. Interesting. Very weak statistics over the next couple of weeks. Lines up well with what we're talking about. These are just stats. Here are some stats here again. Another one I shared over on Twitter here from, I guess, WayneWhaley.com. Shout out to him because it's good work here. And this is the June OPEX weeks. Now, we are in the pre-week at the moment. Here's the post-week. Last 2 times we've had 2021, 2022, they've been down weeks. Historically, they are bullish weeks, but in the last 2 times in June, we've had down weeks. This is a notable one here, down 5.79%. Now, I think a lot of that was because of the inflation reads of 2022, but yeah, big area here. I think also check out September. Last year, negative before, negative after. Check out the after stat though, 723, only 7 times up, 23 down. Very good. I like the stats. I love a good bit of stats. If you see price action with stats, can give you a little bit more confidence in that potential movement. We also saw surveys coming in incredibly bullish, which I think I shared. Where is I don't know where the survey is, but basically it's about 44% bullish. That is incredible. If we get that read again on Thursday and we haven't sold off, very rare, not usually something that that I've seen many, many times. Let's have a look at the CBOT federal funds rate. This is produced by one of the members of the community. Basically, what he's showing you here is the forward rate and the changes over the last couple of months. Then we go over here. We can see here we've got the February position where it was. We got a sell off around that point. And of course, now we're back to this period here in June. So basically, it's higher for longer. And my expectation is the Fed won't cut this year and they'll hold rates, and the market was wrong. So far, it's pulled up. That hasn't been able to fall the market. So even though you've been correct on that aspect, all it's really done is create demand destruction. We've got Kane coming in with some massive super chats. Appreciate it, Kane. Thank you very much. We'll check out 2 of those very, very soon. Appreciate it, man. Both donos are very, very not. Yeah, thank you very much. So Kane coming in here saying, tell me about AUR. We will do that very soon, Kane. Appreciate it. And then again coming in saying, tell us about Jobby. So appreciate that. Billy May says that SoFi play last week. Where's the Chad that hooked up the SoFi play? Yeah, it was pretty good. And obviously it was nice to see that one play out. So some of the shout outs to the community last week. Disney was a little bit lackluster, still went up. Obviously the Tesla kind of move of 0 DTEs continued. SoFi was a great play. So let's load up a SoFi. A few weeks ago, we got Intel. That was a great Monday pickup as well. You can see here SoFi still squeezing in the pre-market, though. Worrying kind of Friday. I think if you're going for the top, you're looking at just sub 10. Let's do one of Kane's super chats. Then we'll go over to verified news ones. First up here, we'll do Kane's AUR. So let's load that one up. I assume it's this one here, Kane. Nice bounce out here from it. It's up 11% at the close, obviously bouncing off serious lows. Let's take a look at the actual stock. It's one of those ones that I traditionally absolutely hate due to it being usually SPACy. Then it's bounced and it's fallen right off. Now, one thing about any issue in the markets is that they need really 18 months minimum to fall off and then find bases. And this is what we're seeing a lot of these stocks recently. All of these stocks have been bouncing off these lows. Another one that I saw was even Peton. Peton had a go at it last week. Very risky plays, but they're coming off what you would call depressed prices, relatively decent volume. Weekly looks good, of course, but that's just the weekly. You can see the pre's going. I would say there's a bunch of options all over this, and it's broken through. So where's a significant level for it? Maybe you can pull like something like a fixed range over the top. You're going to get the low, I think. It's hit the value area high. Oh, you have to think about this psychologically, man. So really, it's probably somewhere around $3 would be a target for it, I guess, if you're in the long. And you've just got to keep watching the options. I can only assume this is being bulled by options. So I would probably look at unusual options activity throughout the day, get a flow chart reader for that, and then keep following it if that's what it is. But Kane, it is absolutely an options that would be, it looks like an option special on the squeeze to me. Coming off a base, obviously there's a lot of downside that you can read. So, after this is done, whatever this rally is done, it's probably going to drop a significant amount of it. I don't know whether the stock is good. Usually with these SPACs, they've been lackluster for a long time. So, yeah, that's that one. Let's have a look at the other one for you here because I do appreciate it. He wants to look at Jobby, which is, I assume, another one that's been rallying huge. So, yes, all of these stocks, similar to like those Petons and stuff, they're coming off these bottoms. So, nice bottom, inverse head and shoulders actually as well. Based comes into the highs. Bit of an issue here because you can see that you've got your supply sitting behind it. So where it is in the current pre-market action, if I was in that one on the long, generally this would be where I'd cut part of the position or descale it and then hold some further for these kind of 950 levels. So I think both of them are getting close to where they need to be during these rallies. And it's a bit difficult. If you'd like to, I'm happy to answer one of your other ones as well. One of the mods can bring it up because this one here, I know you've given me very generous super chat, but it really is just huge rallies coming from options, I would say, hitting into supplies. So to me, this is kind of like a descale position if I was looking at it technically. And then as a secondary, I would say there's probably quite a lot of trade through here. And what I'd probably do is grab a fixed range through this range here. And then, yeah, you're looking at about 927 average. So I think that's probably somewhere in there between 927 and 980. I'd be looking a lot at the level 2 data, checking out whether there's a ton of sold positions that are sitting, and then I'd descale before those sold positions. At least that's the way I would generally approach it. But it's absolutely, hold it for as long as you think the options are there. And that's really the big one there, Kane. So thank you very much for the donation. What do you think about buying VIX calls? I think it's pretty hedged this week, so I'm not too sure if you're going to get that off. Kane says here, thanks, mate. AUR is the future of autonomous driving and Jobby is the future of autonomous flight. Okay, well, if you're holding them more, well, I personally think these are squeezes. So I'm not too sure about autonomous stuff. I will say this, though, about autonomous anything. My biggest problem with most of it is probably insurance still to this day, and more actually things like road work and those types of things. So if you're saying, can you do autonomous, let's say big road trucks or anything? Yeah, of course you could, especially in the mines. But to be able to run them through roadworks is going to be a difficulty. At least that's what I believe when I was talking to a few engineers. They were talking about that being a little bit too many parameters. But who knows? I'm no engineer. I don't know. Either or these stocks are going. And you can see here, if you look at like a Peton, which, is obviously, I think, AbCruncher 5000, you can see a lot of these stocks, even a Peton, it's coming off these lows. And this one here is still what I would say is low. Now, I don't know how close Peton is to bankruptcy. I don't even know if it is going bankrupt. I mean, maybe someone in the chat can let me know how bad this thing is, like fundamentally. I mean, it's missed every single one of its earnings, but it is one of those stocks that's close to the lows, and I've seen unusual options activity coming out of it. So when we see those ones here, it's going to be a big thing. For your information, Max Payne website has a UX alignment issue. This is from Ankit. Yes, I do know that. There are 5 million plus options expiring this week. In your daily videos, you've been mentioning there are 3 million plus. I love the content. Thank you. Well, that means even more trillions of dollars. Yeah. Thank you very much. And Kit, I didn't know that they had an alignment of 5 million. Let's quickly load up here. 16th. Oh, yeah. My bad. You are correct. The alignment here, 5.3. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much for the donation. You are correct. Does it really make a difference to our analysis? Not really. It just means even more money. But yeah, 5.3 million options. That is trillions of dollars. And as you know, it's quad witching. So that means that we've got single stock futures and all the rest of them going. So make sure you look up your quad futures. Technically, Max Payne is lower. So thank you very much, Ankit, and appreciate your donation. Also, thank you to the 900 people joining us. Very nice of you to smash that like button. I see all of you. Very good. So we were mentioning Piton. I don't know if it's a bit of a gamble or really stock at these levels. I don't even know how close it is to bust. And Anush says here, Jobby has been fueled because it's a Cathy Wood stock. Ooh, is that good? I don't know about Cathy Wood anymore. Verified news. We're going to do your stocks now. Third week, Max Payne has not come close to working for the past 2 months. Correct, Shadow. But you have to take, a lot of Max Payne into consideration. Again, is it good by itself? No. If you see technical reasons to see a turn that could then push to that level, it's added benefit. That's all it is, man. It's added benefit. I can tell you, if you took every single month and you put it in and you saw the technical reason for it, it will give you confidence, at least, in those positions should you be going it. Now, at the moment, the problem is Max Payne is obviously to the downside, which is against trend. So I absolutely agree with your comment there. It has not been working the last 2 times. Now, do not use it weekly. Use it only in the third week OPEX. Is it strong enough by itself? No. All right, let's have a look at some of these other ones. We've got SoFi that could keep going. We've got PLTR. I feel like this is probably cooked. When it ran this hard, $17, and goes back down to $14, that was a huge switch, kind of like a Broadcom. And it usually means a blow off top. So rallies usually are sold in this point. Could we go a new high? Yeah. But in general, these are the kind of scenarios that we see with a stock like this. And it's getting the hype. I mean, just playing stats at that point. But yeah, proceed with caution, I think, on PLTR. No worries, verified. Thank you very much. Again, Kane, thank you. And also, Ankit, appreciate it. Let's go up here and get to some of the questions. The other one was Uber. Haven't looked at that stock in a while. Has it been kind of finding buyers, has it? Oh, the Uber business. Well, it's been making a series of higher peaks and higher troughs. Technically, it's in an upward trend now. It's breached all these downward trend stuff. You can see how it's sitting. New peak. Looks kind of strong. It's out here, 0.59. Probably not my kind of business, but yeah, I mean, the surface of it, that is a bullish looking trend. Going back, and it's been on the market now long enough to have bottomed. Look at the rules here, guys. Do not buy stocks that generally come on the market for at least, that 18 months, 2-year kind of area. You just don't want to be touching them. It does look like it's breaking out, though, at this stage. Would I do it? Probably not. Let's have a look at AI. This is a stock that has been all over the place. I'm not sure whether it's sold enough here to already justify potentially dumping. 30% down in only a couple of days. I'm not loving it. I understand that everyone's on top of this thing and they're loving the storyline. To me, when something jumps and then dumps that much, it usually again signifies a potential blow off. I think it's actually dangerous. Now, I'm not sure how good the company is. So don't ask me whether it's got good fundamentals and long term you should hold it or not. Hey, you would know better in the fundamental side. But from the technical side, I could still see it declining back into that 20 and then maybe floating there for a little bit after all said and done. I do think it's a dangerous stock, this one. Let's take a look at GM, and that's General Motors. Now, General Motors, I'm not sure how you guys feel about this. Chat, let me know. So I know, of course, there was an announcement for Tesla, and everyone's getting excited about it. call me the devil's advocate, which I always am with Tesla, even though I have a Tesla. Don't you think that in the future there'll just be a bunch of petrol stations that will convert to electricity, and then you'll have like a massive network, and GM or any other company could use anything? Obviously, at the moment, great sell point. But here's the question: how big a deal is Tesla's charging network? Now, obviously, in the US, I'm not privy to using it, so I don't know. I would say at the moment it's really big. But what do you think when infrastructure comes across? Because we're already starting to see that here in Australia. I assume you're starting to see that in the US. How big a deal do you think it is? Let me know in the chat right now. It'll be very interesting. Let's close the poll. 62% of you believe that there's going to be a rate hike this week. Interesting, going against the economists here. 61 in the end voted yes. Only 38% voted no. That's from 472. So quite a lot of people believe there's going to be a rate hike. Let's see what everybody thinks about this comment here. We've got Ford over GM. Yes. Oz says lol no. And Kwame says, can you do service now? Don't even know what that is. And ZMT Shadow says, more likely EV vehicle hype is overblown. There's still lots of problems with something about practicality of the tech. Okay. Tesla is a dime a dozen. First move advantage is all they've got. They certainly do have current scaling. No hike, the market is telling you. Well, that's correct. The market is saying that. So the chat's telling me that there's a market hike. So I'm going to go with the chat. Can I go with the chat? I believe in you, chat. There's 962 people here. I'm going to believe that you know. Look, let's face it. Is the chat better than economists out there? What do you think? You guys better than the economists? What do you think? What do you think? We'll look at Tesla in just a moment. Is the chat smarter than economists? From GM's perspective, though, straight through, absolutely range bound, this thing running off that hype. I mean, it could certainly run back up into the 40s. Probably a good little take profit if you're in it to the rally. Doesn't really look like it's breaking out at this point here. It doesn't really have the signals that show me that this thing is like, it's got a little small time frame change, but until it gets through there, it's not really busting out of a big range. Nathan Jacobs, $9.99. Thank you very much. Again, Kane, thank you for your very generous donation before. Appreciate that. He says, thoughts on August 18th puts for Len. Let's have a look at Len. Into a couple of the more popular stocks. Len puts Oh, okay. This actually hit the point. That's a really nice inverse head and shoulders, man. And a really nice extension too. Don't know if you got this, but yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good. I don't know when I did that analysis. Obviously, I didn't trade it, but kind of wish I did. Look at that. Damn. Perfection. Home building companies back at their highs, eh? Would you buy a put on this? Monthly? Okay. Daily? What do you want to put a put on? August 18th puts. So you're not saying where you want to put a put on. I guess just at the money is what you're looking at. Yeah, it looks okay. I mean, obviously you're going against trend. It's got a small time frame change. You've got your trend line that's going through the bottom. Yeah, I just drew it, but you've got your trend line going through the bottom here. So still a pretty strong upward trend at this stage. Oh, I would probably expect it to have to go through that, and then you're actually getting that right turn. I could see it. You'd have to really bet on the market turning. This stock may do poorly from it, but it does seem to have a lot of strength. I mean, it started running in June. Then we had that October low. Not sure if it's the best stock to short, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of negative on the market, so fair enough. It's at the highs. You guys all think you're better than economists. Fair enough. You probably are. Turtle says CPI pump or not. I don't really like to guess on CPI and what it's going to do. I generally think the first move may be false, and then we'll grab liquidity. Usually we'll set up into the position. It's hard to set up until the end of today, exactly how it's going to play. But if I was going to look through some stocks, let's have a look at the first one. But Apple, it's kind of setting up for a short here. We haven't seen any particular switch. That is, we need to actually break 170 to get a proper switch here. But we did see a high that stole new highs on great storylines. We've got goggles, which look pretty cool. We've got new Macs. We've got all sorts of fantastic by the rumor. Everything's all great. Then we steal it. We go back up to where we think it could turn. And this is going to be an interesting one here today because it's trading around that 182. This is where I expect Apple to find weakness. So again, coming in bullish here today, Apple's technically at that weakness point. Again, just guessing that it's a very high risk, decent reward style position here with stops above the highs. Is it going to win very often? Probably about half, 50% of the time, but payoffs would be very large if you actually got the swing highs. So first payoff would obviously be down to these 172s, 178s, 172s, and then maybe holding part of the D scale. You got to think like a big bank does. Do they sell all their position at the same time? Absolutely not. Do they buy all their position at the same time? Not really. They obviously buy over portions. They buy over time. And that's a big one here. MacB says Teslas are not very well made, not close to Benz or Honda on build quality. Mine's not too bad. But yeah, it's not the same. Dumb Money says they don't care. They will hike. Okay. Loxo74 says Piton has morning stars at 1250 should be the goal. Yeah, it does have morning stars, and it's going to be an interesting one. It's got those huge rejection week that came through it as well. Irritated Nominal says Nvidia and AMD directors dumping their bags. Yeah, but they always dump the bag. If you look at the Nvidia sell, like, I mean, if you go to, let's say, FinViz and you search Nvidia and you scroll down, these are all the upgrades. Actually, a very good place just to go check out some upgrades here. Look at these bras. Oh yeah, we just upgraded. Cool, 490. It's easy. Just make it 490. It's all good. Who is this person? What is this? 475. It's cool. We'll just upgrade it. And then you can scroll down, and generally it has director sales. And you can see here, look, it's insiders. They're trading, guys. And you can see here all the stock. And they've been dumping a little bit. But if you actually look, a lot of the time, the big portions here, and by the way, I want that much. Who wants that much? Hell yeah. That's a good amount. You guys want to retire on that much? We'll share it out like Robinhood, except not the broker Robinhood. We'll just share it out like Robinhood. What do you think? 37, only a small amount. But if we keep going through, generally speaking, they do dump quite regularly. Usually president and CEO is the main one. He likes dumping lots of exercised options. There's a few people here dumping off positions. I wouldn't blame them. I'd trim too. But I'm not sure how many of these are actually unusual. I do think that some may be unusual. Maybe somebody in the chat knows who's unusual here to be selling. It's always good to check it out though. 37. So yeah, I always like doing that. You can get that on finviz.com. If you just want to check it out, it's totally free. It's got all the news pages, articles. But if you want to see some insider trading, it generally comes up here with the SEC forms. You can see all those June sells. So June 9th, June 6th, considerable amounts. Not huge, but 100,000 units is decent. So that's where they're getting the insider concepts here. Apple dumped WWDC. Yep. Can we look at Carvana? Yeah, we can look at Carvana. A lot of options trade on Carvana as well. As you can see here, still the general concept, something we haven't seen in a while. I'll tell you this. I have not seen this in a long time. Market went down last week. More calls than puts. Damn, that's massive. That's huge. So we're about 23 minutes off the market open. We've got plenty of stocks to go through here. Carvana coming up in the question. Unusual options activity, guys. Look at that. 608,000 puterinos, 333,000 calls. So 21.3% down. One of my favorite little utilities. Just flatlining here in the morning. Let's have a look at CBNA. Definitely a gamble fest on this stock. That looks like pure gamble festing to me. Goes up like 50%, drops half of it. This is the type of thing I don't like getting into. When it drops that much, usually it's a quick blow off. Also, all this stuff is symptomatic usually with the end of a trend. So we've seen all this before. Think about some other times that these markets have done this and these particular stocks have done this. It tends to be around these periods. Look at August of 22. This is like almost a meme, this stock. August of 22, currently. February. Do you see? August, February, now. Do you really want to be left holding the bags in this stock? Chat, do you want to hold the bags of the Carvana? I know I wouldn't want to hold the bags of the Carvana. I thought that thing was dead. So what do I think about it? Probably bounces a little bit. It's more of a gamble, though. I like replication, and this is not the type of replication that I like. Tesla, you guys are getting greedy for puts, it seems. What are you guys voting for? Calls or puts? Tell me, chat. Calls or puts? UPST, maybe we'll check that one out. Bullish on Neo. Ooh, thought Neo was dead too. Bullish or bearish on Tesla this week, everybody? Give me your calls. Well, you know what? I don't even want to analyze it until we see what the chat has to say. Let's go to a couple of other stocks. One that's absolutely hated in the news, Target. I think Target may go lower before bouncing. My little red box down here has spidey senses tingling. 117. I don't want to buy it yet. We don't know how low this can go. A lot of people trying to buy the Target thinking it's a deal. I'm not so sure it is a deal. How do you know it's a deal? It's just dropping. Like we said a few weeks ago when you guys were trying to buy this thing. No. Not yet. I don't see any turn. Do you see a turn? No turn there. Meta. Could it be the worst tech stock at the moment? I would say yes. It is one of the worst of the big tech stocks. And obviously not the worst tech stock, but worst of the big tech stocks. Meta gets my vote. The goggles that don't work. Anyone like Meta? Or you hate it? Let me know. Deep value. Random agricultural stocks. In particular, kind of anything to do with fertilizer. Burnt. Reed says, don't buy Target until consumers have really pulled in their horns on spending. Yeah, it's certainly a big thing here. People saying they hate the Meta. Have we gone over PLTR? We have, man. I think it's in blow off, bro. I think there's probably some recovery in it just because people buy the BTFD. Yeah, it's BTFD time. But I could see that one dropping further after it. People are going bear here on Tesla. Oh, look at you. You're all greedy. You just want to go against the trend. You just want to kill Tesla. All right, let's have a look at it. So everyone wants to kill Tesla, the stock. That means it's probably going to burn us all first. I actually have a feeling it could go for the old gap fill. So could we get to 264? It's very possible. If you're going to be a bear, the only time you can really be a bear is if this thing island reversals. Now, we spoke about it last week. Did we get one? No. Did we look for one? Yes. Here it was. The gap up, looking for a turn on the day. No deal. Unfortunately, at that point, you can't do anything. The trend of squeeze continues. Now, we've seen kind of like calls generally everywhere. And over here on bar chart, if you watch the weekend video, let's refresh this here, you can see that there's the biggest position actually on Friday was a put. And then look at this. We get the call put combo, both fairly large volumes. And this is the call is actually, though, for this week. So I'm wondering how this Tesla plays out. A little bit more puts than calls. It wasn't just a call across the board. So we're looking for large, longer dated puts to go in first. And then, of course, we're looking for those 0 DTEs to come in hard. So I want whoever this is, big bank, no doubt, big fund, I want them to start playing with puts more so. We want more puts, but that's going to be a big one. I don't think it's technical at this stage, this stock. 264 gap fill, though, could be a very interesting point. I'm probably not going to touch it unless it hits my level of 264.77. I'm not interested in another one. I don't want to do no YOLO until you know you're seeing a real YOLO point. It's kind of like Nvidia. I had one crack at that one to the short, got about 5-6% out of it, came back, broke even me, whatever, gave it a shot, yeah, and then just keep rallying and rallying, rallying. I don't want to get stuck in the Reddit army's Tesla, because when Reddit gets involved, you guys go wild on this stock and you push it very, very hard as well, because everyone goes YOLO. So 264. If you're going to have a go at a short, you need this thing to gap underneath. It's not going to happen today. Okay, so it'll be a CPI special if that one's going to happen. Certainly not right now. NVIDIA conference today, says Turtle Grew. Okay, interesting there. Let's go through a couple of stocks. So we'll continue to go through. Let's just do a quick rapid fire. We've got a little bit over 15 minutes till the market opens. First up, Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks still very sick. I think this is interesting that it came on this low and obviously couldn't close below it. So there's that daily low. Weekly looks horrible. Closed underneath all the other weeklies. That to me means that rallies should be met by sell demand. Obviously, the SEC situation. We've got Binance as well, losing, what was it, $400 million of positions or something. They were quick to come out and say, don't worry, guys, doesn't hurt our liquidity, but still worrying signs within the Bitcoin and within Ethereum, etc. OG says, do you mean BitConnect? No, we're not at that point yet for Bitcoin, or Bitcoin as I call it. 24,000, still one of my targets. I still think this is bearish, and I don't really see a way out of that just yet. Next one, let's move over to dollar index. Dollar index started to weaken off our 61.8 retracement here. Nice if you held that, I guess, towards the short. Looking for it to continue on down. I think it won't be able to do too much today leading into the inflation. And you can see here that it's kind of just struggling around this zone. It's the same thing with gold. I don't know if I'd touch gold with a 10-foot barge pole until we get the inflation numbers out. Again, look at the daily here. You can see it's trapped within a range. We've got the high break. We've got the low break. Both significant. Both have real long, well, decent medium term kind of confirmations that can give us some good swing trades. But at the moment, stuck within a range. Again, I wouldn't touch it. It's my personal opinion. A few people wanting my thoughts on the DAX as it comes back up to this high. I have really very little thoughts on the DAX. We were unable to activate swing trades, so we haven't really been able to do that too much. You could argue that it took a low, but it didn't close below it, so that this up here is like an extreme sell zone. I'm not going to go that far. I don't see weakness heavily in the DAX yet. So even though it went to all-time highs, which is over here, I just don't see enough to make me convinced I want to short that thing. It's still kind of finding bull legs. For the Australians out there, the XJO continues to be lackluster. So again, I think demand destruction is taking its effect on this one. US oil, a few people asking about that. Let's have a look at the US oil chart. Again, it's weakening more than I thought it would, down 3.14%. Usually I've been relatively positive on energy over to the middle of June. We're not quite there yet. So a few days early here for a short on oil. I'd probably watch the CPI number to see what happens next, but I don't think oil can go too much before OPEC get grouchy. I don't think oil can go too much below something like a $60 a barrel. So again, is it worth the risk reward? Probably not. We're entering into where buyers could be for the oil market. So be very, very careful around here. I expect manipulation to come back in. And oil is dropping, which is good if you short it. But yeah, it wasn't really something I was there. FTSE, have you done that? I haven't done the FTSE in a while. Let's have a look at the UK 100 before we go to the S&P. FTSE. Okay. Do I have much opinion? Not really. I guess it's weak, but that's only because I know what's going on in Australia. That's actually a small change of trend when it took this. This is maybe a deep sell. Support more in the 6,800s most likely here for this particular market. Doesn't look too good in my opinion. And it's selling, again, demand destruction. A lot of oil companies, a lot of metal companies, a lot of financials in this particular index. All things similar to Australia that tend to suck at this time of year. Copper looking bad. Shooting star going down. Inflation report will have an effect on this. Again, just seeing that weakness coming through beforehand. Let's go through each one of the stocks. Apple, if I was guessing, looks like it's at the kind of more short zone. Amazon, middle of nowhere land. That is literally middle of nowhere land. Have no opinion. It's still bullish. I don't really see weakness in this stock just yet, though it may turn. Google, certainly at resistance. Microsoft, I can't short Microsoft. It's too good. I love Microsoft. Meta, that's being unfair. I'm sure you could short it. I just don't. Meta over here looks like crappy. And you had those 3 rejection weeks. And then, of course, we sold. We did not break under 258.77. Then the next turn point for a stock like this. And I'm looking for it to go to 235. And if we go to mean reversion, just remember, the mean reversion I'm looking for right now is a Q into the 20 moving average. And I think that this is highly likely over the next coming weeks, as in to see the turn that gives us this. We tend to touch the 20 when we move too far away. It's not rocket science. It only takes us back to April pricing. It's only about a 10% sell-off, but still a lot of you would probably salivate over that 10% sell-off. And that's at this stage the most likely thing. And look at how many gaps there are. I'd like to see it kind of go maybe like that. So kind of either it comes up, pushes everyone's expectations, sells in. Here's where the buyers probably will be. RJ Investment says, boring. What's up, RJ? Come on, man. Thank you very much to the 1,035 people that are joining us here. Alessio says 3M reversal 2 weeks ago. Let's have a look at 3M. We got a announcement, I think, in terms of they were settling. Now, I haven't been on top of the story, but they were settling. We got the sell-off. This is from last Monday, so that was certainly what we wanted. Not quite to where I'd like to see it go down to. But yeah, I think it's fair to think this might be in an extreme. It's a defensive as well, theoretically. Hasn't been defensive for a long time, but it's very deep. And theoretically, it's a good value stock at these points. Again, if they get rid of their financial woes from the court cases. But somebody in the chat can tell us whether that's happened. To get a significant trend change, you're going to need to breach around 107. But yeah, look, a lot of people tried to buy the dip this one and failed. We'll just go count the buy the dippers. So first buy the dippers failed, second buy the dippers failed, third buy the dippers failed, fourth buy the dippers failed, maybe even fifth buy the dippers, sixth buy the dippers even failed there, and it's a 7. The odds are stacked definitely in the favor as long as the fundamentals are okay. Okay. If fundos are bad here, it is a sick, disgusting stock. But if you've done the analysis and you believe it's okay, it's pretty deep. "3M, great products, best in class." Yes. Nathan says inflation is still high. The more markets go up, the more Fed will have to tighten. Theoretically, yes, but they've also, been doing a whole bunch of dodgy back ending recently. Hallie says, is Jets breaking out? Yeah, good observation of you to basically see that the Jets has been pushing through. This is more of a summer play. Obviously, it's aeroplane companies. Are they finding increase or improvement? Yeah, I think they're probably doing okay due to the fact that oil is also coming down, reducing their costs. You can see this trend line here was broken a little while ago. It tested it and actually broke out. So theoretically, yes, Jets is breaking out at this point. What am I going to do with it? Well, I have a no airplane fly policy. I very, very rarely trade jets. And the reason, I don't like airplane companies. Why? They could fall out of the sky. And yes, jets is much safer because you're buying a whole bunch of them. Some other ones that are deep in the pits of recovery or at least pullback. End phase, I think that's kind of shown itself to be doing a little bit of change of trend, pulling back into the most traded levels. Could be an interesting zone this week for this one. Deep depression selling on this one. It's going from $339 all the way back down to 171. So technically around this level is where I usually see buyers recommence. They did come in. They're selling off. Maybe put a 61.8 fib on that. Have a look at it. See what happens. Obviously make your own decisions. What's my thoughts on Vodafone? Generally, I try to stay away also from telecommunications companies. I find them to be terrible. Have a look at Verizon on the chart. You'll be like, whoa, this is so bad. Also, another one that I'm watching closely is Alf. Haven't seen it sell off enough yet, but this thing has just continued to be very. I had a look at it in here, but didn't sell quite enough, fast enough. This is continuing its very strong run. Interesting to see how this goes. Alta Beauty is another one. Now you can see that got absolutely just dumped here. Alta Beauty, big puts came into it. I'd say there is some kind of buy the dip recovery that usually comes through a stock selling that fast. But I don't know if I want to be part of it. But yeah, this is usually what it does. Kind of finds recovery, goes about 50, 61.8, something like there, and then keeps selling off. I'd say the top's in on that stock. End phases to sell? Could be. But I don't want to sell it. Smart money versus dumb money chart. I don't think there was much value in that chart at the moment. They're too close together. Basically, what's happened is you've seen dumb money inject, smart money kind of float down, but not disconnected enough to give you much edge. You only use it very, very specific times. What would have to happen for you to invest in pot stocks? Uh, invest in pot stocks? Probably would never do it. Trade them? I've done it before. I've traded Tilray. But invest in them, I don't really see how there's a lot of profit in them. It's too easy. The moat sucks. So I just don't like it. Investing and trading are very different things. You could trade PayPal. Do I want to buy PayPal? No. Do I want to trade PayPal? Maybe. If it sells off, maybe I do want to have a go at it for a little trade. But do I want to own it as an investment? Not really. I don't really know how much future there is in it. You always think about one of the top rules of investment. It's not my rule, it's Buffett's rule, really, is to understand that you want moat in your business. What is moat? It's basically the difficulty for other people to compete in your business. I could go out the back of my house and probably start a pot business. Good comment. All right, let's have a look through the stock markets here. So we'll go US 500 first. We'll use this chart here because it's better. So some of my thought processes again for anyone that's joining us, over the 1,000 plus people that are joining us today. 43.26, certainly an interesting zone. If we end up taking that high pre-market session, that could be an area for bears to represent themselves. How it interacts with that zone will always be an interesting watch. For people that are looking at swing trades, you're needing to see this thing take this 42.60 low this week to really change trend. At the moment, we have structure through here. We have a higher high. We're looking for that lower low to at least signify that we could be potentially turning. I would expect that not to be possible until we get the CPI number, and then the Fed will push all of this around. So we'll probably update later on in the daily show on that one. Anything else? Trend is still up, no trend change. So technically, if you're bullish, I wouldn't be scared, though I could see why this may be a descale position. If you're holding investments, other than mean reversion, I'm not sure what's really too worrying at this stage. Mean reversion, all the other things we've talked about. My personal opinion is we have not seen so many confluence techniques probably since, I don't even know if we've seen so many confluence techniques since a long time ago. So theoretically, I do believe over the next 1 to 2 weeks, we should begin a swing trade short, and that will probably give us mean reversion. As a guess, of course, I'm looking for the activation now, but we have the evidence in hand. And that evidence was detailed in the weekend video here on the channel. I seriously, not all the evidence, I kept a little bit for the private community as well. Yes, I do keep some back. But yeah, it was some strong, compelling stuff. There's a lot of, I haven't seen it. I just like, these are times where you've got to play stats. And remember, any trade or any decision that you make will have a stat attached to it, whether it's a 7 out of 10 times, whether it's an 8 out of 10 times, whether it's a 5 out of 10 times. When you're going counter trend, you're going to lose a few of them. But when you win, you got to make them pay. And how do you know they're going to pay? Well, generally, you have to stack the evidence in hand. Of course, at the moment, this year has been all about the buy zone and all about the rotation into buys, mostly, unless you've been shorting energy and metals. Have you been shorting energy and metals up until maybe a week or so ago? Beautiful, beautiful shorts. Very, very good. End phase is a buy at $26. That's pretty low, bro. All-time highs on the way. Cool. That'd be cool. Disney, you're going to make your own Disneyland. No. I'm not interested in making the Disneyland. I like Disneylands. I've been to a few of them. Maybe I'll visit one in America, in Florida. Yeah, it's somewhere in Florida. Or is it Orlando? I don't know where that is. But I will be in Miami. I don't know if it's close to that. Probably not. Over here, Disney, yeah, still looks bullish to me. Obviously, island reversal, deeper pullback. This is the type of stock that's fundamentally just floating around. So realistically, if we do see a sell in markets, I could see some smart money kind of jumping into Disney just as a place to hold while they wait for rotation back into maybe a tech or something like that. OPEX weeks always go up. Turtle, that is not true. If you actually pull the stats, these are the weeks. This is what happens generally. So the last 2 OPEX weeks, 2021, 2022 for June, well, the stats would say they actually were down the week of. But yes, overall, 18 weeks up, 12 weeks down since 1993. The only one that's really super statistically relevant is probably post-week Junes, though it hasn't happened last 2 times. They've been very negative. And of course, also post-week Septembers. That's a horror show. 23 down, 7 up. That's very weak. Very, very weak. 1 minute till the market's open, guys. Again, we're looking for new all-time or new highs on some of these markets to be potentially stolen, particularly in the US 500. If you're really getting down and dirty on small time frames today, if we have a look at the pricing here, whoops. There we go. We've just opened with a bunch of greens. We're getting down and dirty with the pricing here. I don't know if there's any 15-minute kind of change of trends that I would like. Probably not enough statistics in a lot of these trades up here. The trend has been up. I'd like to see 43.26 kind of stolen here early. And then maybe, oh, geez, these are, yeah, not really a day I'd usually trade that actually. It's not, other than the 43.26 steal and then trading around that a little bit later on the session, probably not too much for me. US 2000, let's have a look at that one. Still looking weak on this market. It did hit a critical zone. You can see we got so close to my most traded zone. This area here, a few people in the private community got that one short around this area. It was a great activation. I do hope that they are successful with continuing to short that into around 1852, 1855, which is where you should see some kind of demand pick up here. Did you look at Netflix? I haven't looked at Netflix, but that is a top stock that I do think is doing really well in this current market. So if you go to Netflix, yeah, when I say top stock, it doesn't mean I love it. I just think that probably underappreciated its move over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, well done if you got Netflix. I could even see it being a hold. Their plan of world domination by creating extra subscription costs seems to be working pretty well. That kind of annoyed me, to be honest. I almost wanted to cancel. So again, this week here, we have Fed rate hike potentially on Wednesday. Tomorrow is inflation, CPI numbers. We've got PPI. Keep the economic calendars on hand. This is just Forex Factory. You can get them from FinViz. You can get them from so many websites. Make sure you know your times from everywhere around the world. Lock in 1 hour before we've got inflation. That is on Tuesday. Today, not much. Wednesday, FOMC, PPI. Look at these times, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. We know that often this event here, especially with the press conference that's half an hour before, the markets go off one direction, then they reverse during the press conference. So that's a little bit of a top tip that often does occur. Again, it's probably statistically relevant. Let's move over here to the USD. Other news, Empire State, retail sales, ECB press conference, Bank of Japan, and of course, prelim UOM. And it's not just that. Today, we also have a whole bunch of treasury bills that are coming out. Somewhere here, I think I shared the treasury bills. I don't remember. There it is. So there's all the treasury bills. And you can see here that we have 65, 58, 38, and 48.5. Now, a lot of people are making a huge deal over this. It looks like the Fed's backdooring something with treasuries. Obviously, they're floating around. I think the treasuries are still in a pretty good price. I would love to see the best price, which is down here. I'm just setting alerts for this level, which is just under 100, like 99. I'm setting some 97s, and I'm setting some 88s, just in case. And if it happens, hey, we can jump off to it. What about treasuries this week? I'm not going to make a big deal out of it because I think that it's probably not worth, even though a lot of people are talking about a lot, I don't think it's going to affect us too much. But I understand, yes, the treasuries are there. In terms of being able to interpret it with statistical edge, good luck. Because generally speaking, if you go back and look at the history, treasuries have often done well around these times. Dumb Money says September S&P 500 contract rolled over last night, 43.57 open. That's correct. I'm not using the ES, but you are correct. It rolled. So if you look at ES, there's your ES, there's your gap that comes from the ES. I'm using a spot version, which is just US 500. So the gap is a lot of it's due to that, yes. Tom, where do you find liquidity? Yeah, you have to kind of make combo codes, man. DMR says SOX gap down. Let's have a look here. Semiconductor 3x. Well, firstly, don't be looking at SOX from your charts. Always use some kind of actual non-leveraged index, which is always going to be important. So you can see here, just don't do your analysis on the 3x leveraged indices, yeah? Do your analysis on the 1x because it's more efficient. Then you can trade your 3x. So never analyze SQQQ. Why would you do that? It's not even efficient. So don't analyze SQQQ or whatever else. It's just pointless. I agree, Timo. He says new content on Netflix is bad lately. That's right. Correct. Orlando is the center of Florida. Thank you very much, Dumb Money. I believe rate hike tomorrow would trim Tesla today. Yeah, I think it's fair if you wanted to, look at Tesla. Obviously, call's still active on it. 260 would be top end. I didn't think we'd get to 248. Obviously, 230 was my top end for the 0DTEs. So for me, it'd be descale, hold a bit, wait, see if I can get 260 out of it. If I could, probably descale it all. Anything else that's notable? Down a little bit. Russell, obviously the weakest. Bitcoin continues to be weak. Stocks in focus this week would have to be, I think, what's going to happen with Meta. Triple M maybe on the deep rebound, depending, of course, on the financial situation. Enphase on watch. PayPal on watch. Piton probably on, Piton, my God, I don't know, too scary, I guess, but it is technically possible to get percentage out of it. But geez, you got to be real quick on this one. Tech up, energy is down. Yeah, because we've got the oil price here, 365 down. PG getting pretty interesting. Let's have a look at these ones. Procter. Yeah, I guess Procter's pulled back. Another one I had that I was watching was Nike. Waiting for that to come a bit lower. See what happens. TGT new low. Does that sound right? Yep, good. I want that to continue to fail. I think Target continues to move down here. ORCL up on earnings, pre-earnings, Oracle. Oof, strong stock, eh? This thing is unstoppable sometimes. Look at it go. 4.3. Very strong pickup on this stock. I must admit, it's probably one of the only stocks in the market that I haven't owned like many times. Probably missed out really on this one. No worries, C-Car, good. Trader Joe says tech up. Yep, very good. All right, guys. Well, I think that probably brings us to the end. It is going to be an interesting week. Maybe I'll do a surprise live if there's something of interest after one of these sessions, like some kind of inflation number that gets us, all carried away. But I think the problem with the Monday this week is there's so much uncertainty about how this market reacts to these figures. Once you see it, I believe reaction will be the better play. And obviously let it kind of die down. You'll find that actually having patience here is going to be your best play. There are risks today. We had a little bit lower viewership. Why? Because I believe that a lot of you are literally waiting for the inflation numbers. You're like, bugger this, I'm not trading Monday. I don't blame you. So you've just got to be very, very careful leading into this event. I do think you're going to get some significantly nice large swings over the next couple of weeks, but being patient, having your bullets ready for these types of positions is going to be important. And look, this is a very rare time in markets. We don't see this many things align towards markets becoming overbought with hype FOMO everywhere. It's very rare to see these things. Unfortunately, markets can stay irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So you've got to be very particular about the way you even trade them. There was times where we were obviously very negative, which is here. We saw that rally through. We have to cut the negativity until we move to the next level. Then we can become negative again. And that's what we're going to damn well do. So at this point, I wish each and every one of you a very good week ahead. It's going to be an interesting time in markets, whether you're sitting on the sidelines or waiting for the right opportunity. I'm sure something will happen for you, hopefully a good thing. The Qs, obviously, remember here, we've got billions of gap fills to the downside. And more importantly, we're looking for mean reversion with the market now that is extended away. Mean reversion comes in. You can't argue with that because eventually, even during the biggest insane bull run, it still had to revert back. And that sell there, just on the Qs alone, was still 14%. Now, of course, I didn't knock everything off. But remember, the chart that I would be having on my charts this week would be this one here. I'd be very interested in how the old combos of the big tech stocks actually ends up trading. This is possibly the most important chart of the week. Good luck, everybody. Wish you all the best. Make sure you find that deep discounts if you're going to need to do it. Rotation is key. And I'm looking, of course, for utilities and other sections of the market to show us that real rotational turn. So if we're not getting these types of market sectors, finding buyers, that tells us we're not quite ready to turn. Thank you again. Subscribe, smash that like button. We'll see you next week on Monday. Luke says, new to FX Evolution. Very impressed. Thank you. No worries, Luke. Appreciate you joining us. All right. Control the FOMO. That's right, C-Car guy. Bye for now. Ciao.